Hi, my name is Charles Kinney Jr. and this is a short presentation, 10 to 15 minutes. I got an email saying that you were interested in answering some questions, and I decided to do it in a different way, other than a boring PowerPoint. The point of this presentation is to show something unusual, innovative, but still using technology with a human interface. What you're looking at right now is mostly nonfiction and political analysis that I've written over the years around the world in different newspapers and different countries. But what's really important for me is to get across this idea that writing is writing, whether that's technical writing or writing in general. You're given a task, there is completion, and you move on to the next assignment. As any writer will probably tell you, it's very difficult to make a living from writing. You don't know where your next paycheck is going to come from. So people always ask me, am I a writer who teaches or a teacher who writes? And it's probably a little bit of both. And I also think that lifelong learning, as a teacher, you're not only a teacher, but you're a student as well. So this series of questions is very interesting and has to do with the original writing task, where I wrote about a Bialetti manual coffee maker. So the first question was, what were your first thoughts when you received that task, and how did you handle the writing process? I realized almost immediately that you would have to see writing samples. When I started to write it, it actually became a little bit fun, which I was surprised at, because it's a different kind of writing, but it's still, there's a process, and I like the process. Before the interview, or before any interview, or before anything, you want to show that you're intelligent and that you have ability, of course, while still trying to do the task. And that's what I was also trying to aim for as well. First thing, I tell my students this as well, you want to ask yourself who, what, where, how, why, and when. And then, as most importantly, ask the when is the deadline due? And that's how I handle the writing process, and that's how I handle this task. What is required, who is involved, and to check the deadline. For me, the writing process is the same, whether it's technical writing, nonfiction, political analysis. I usually sit with my laptop in my lap on my couch, and I focus. I understand the tasks, what is involved. Then I conceive the concept of what I want to say. I write, and the three magic words, revise, revise, revise. You have to have an eye for editing, and without it, any kind of writing, it's useless. You submit, and you move on to the next task. And once again, you watch the deadline. It's crucial. Question number 2. Why did you organize the user manual the way you did? You go with what you know. And I don't drink much coffee, but I drink much tea. And I know a Bialetti. And I thought, yeah, this is not electrical, but it's something that most people wouldn't take for granted. So you go with what you know, but you have to have the ability to find out the rest, and quickly. That's the whole point of that. It should be user-friendly. I think a lot of technical writing, it gets so technical that most laymen or most common people just have no idea what's happening. However, it does have to be technically correct, and I think that's another crucial point of this. That said, it should still have a human interface, and you should be able to read it, and it should be readable, not just hopelessly unreadable. Question number 3. What was the biggest challenge while making the user manual? It actually wasn't that difficult, but that Sunday night when I wrote it, it roughly took me about 2 hours to do it. I had other papers to correct for my students and time constraints, and so I did that all that night. So I just had to prioritize what's coming first and what's going last. Time deadlines are everything in teaching. Like every job, you have got to get it done. And if you don't get it done, there are grades involved, and it's just, in the United States, there's liability involved as well. It has to be done on time. I wanted to do this correctly as well, and to make sure I, once again, showed my intelligence and ability. But I didn't really have anyone to ask, am I doing this correctly or not? That was probably the biggest challenge. But something that has always worked for me is instinct has always proved correct. 99% of the time, I go with my head, and it is usually correct. However, no one is infallible, and we all make mistakes, but the beauty of writing is that you can go back and edit it, and to make sure then it is correct. Why do you think Question number 4. Why do you think technical user documentation is important for the customers? Statoil, British Petroleum, Total, Shell. I realized right away with FMC, you're dealing with multi-million dollar systems. Not only is money on the line here, but there's something more important in line, I'm sure, is human life. Money's important, but if someone's life is much more important to me than a piece of machinery. If the technical thing is not written correctly, it's quite possibly inconceivable that it's improperly assembled, and as well, if it was properly assembled and properly used, it might prevent a stupid tragedy, like someone's loss of life, which would be pointless. I wonder in the oil spill in the Gulf, if people were running around looking for user manuals, I'd say it's probably highly likely. And if those were written correctly, who knows, maybe someone could have stopped it before it happened. In the United States, and as most of the world, liability is crucial. If user information is correctly stated and written down, it's usually difficult to prove liability from the creator's end. There's a very strange case with McDonald's Corporation where someone spilled a cup of hot coffee on their lap. Now, any moron in the world would know not to spill a hot cup of coffee on their lap, you'll get burnt. But the person said that it wasn't written down, and therefore it wasn't their technical advice, and therefore he was liable to a huge settlement. He won. I guarantee you now McDonald's actually wrote down, if you pour this in your lap, it will burn you to death. But the point of this is, if it's done correctly the first time, it might save a lot of hassle later on. The final question, how can you contribute to the group of technical writers in the control and data management department? I'm a very nice person. That's a small joke, but actually I am. I'm a very nice guy. I'm very flexible, but I get along very well with others. I couldn't have been a teacher and working with academics who have some of the biggest egos on the planet Earth and possibly 10,000 students in my career without being able to get along with other humans. I have extensive foreign experience. I understand different mindsets, how different people think, because I've encountered so many different cultures. I also understand different language groups. I think that's very important as well. With technical writing, it is really just another language that you have to wrap your head around. There's a correct way to do it and the correct way not to do it. I have real-world writing experience. I understand how one phrase or one word can be interpreted and how it can be twisted around to mean something else. It's very easy to write something and then just move on, but it's actually, if you think about it, there is a better way. This is University of Washington. I have a writer's certificate in nonfiction publication. One of the huge advantages of me as well is I speak American English, and I understand British English. It's not complicated. I understand the grammatical differences as well that most people wouldn't. But American English, and not to sound too nationalistic or that sort of thing, it's the world standard for English. And I have a concept of pretty much Indian English, Jamaican English things as well. But American English is the standard, and that's what I speak, and that's my grammatical pattern. After teaching and writing for so many years, I have mastery of English grammar, and most people cannot say that, but I can. I can actually grammatically explain why things should be the way they are. I have an eye for editing and an eye for detail. That not only comes from substantial writing experience, it also comes from teaching 10,000 people in my lifetime. So every person is different, and I'm trying to figure out what they need. Finally, I have flexibility, I'm very creative, and I have dedication. Technical writing may not seem that there might be that much creativity, but it's this flexibility and this knowledge that the world is a much larger place and that people might interpret information a different way than you're writing it. I think that is crucial as well. Thank you for taking the time to watch this short presentation, and I look forward to your questions.